How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. So today I thought I'd sit down and talk about how I'm getting on with the Quad Cortex now that it's been around about 6 months since I bought it. Obviously it's been my main and only amp that I've been using in this time. Previously, as you may or may not know, I had a Kemper. I got on with that really well, but I thought it was time for a change and the Kemper was feeling a little bit old and a bit clunky to me. So the first thing that I want to talk about is how I still love the user interface and how easy it is to use on a day-to-day basis. I don't really do any gigs, so for me it's more at-home use or studio usage, if you want to call it that, for recording and things like that. It really is a great tool to be able to record with. You can use it as an interface or with an interface, and the results, whether you use it over USB or whether it's over XLR, are both great. It's super quick to change settings on the fly if you're recording and you've got a tone that you've got in mind or there's something not quite right with how it's sounding when it's coming through. And obviously the ability to download captures and different tones, patches, whatever you want to call them, is great too. Another point is that it takes pedals really well. I've never been a huge pedal user because I've always been kind of multi-effects or Kemper, QC kind of thing. And I've found that introducing pedals into my lineup of tone, if you will, has been great. It's been really easy to introduce pedals to the QC without having to change loads of different parameters and settings just to make sure that the pedal sits right in the sound. As you'll have heard from the Grand Hotel pedal that I did a review on recently, that sounded great. I didn't need to add anything on there. I didn't need to mess with any settings. I did everything on the pedal, which is how it's supposed to be. I think the high gain and medium gain presets that you get on the QC from the factory are fantastic. I feel like they're unrivaled, possibly closely followed up by the Kemper, but you really do have those stage and recording ready tones right out of the box. Another thing that I love is that the foot switch and dial combo works really well. I was a little bit unsure about it when I first started using them. I thought they might break or be not too well built, if that makes sense. But I've got on with them really well. I think they're a great addition, and all kind of small boards that are amp sims should have these. And obviously on the horizon we've got the Neural DSP plugins on the way to the Quad Cortex, which is really going to take it from where it is now up to that higher level, and it's just going to be fantastic. I can't wait for the plugins to be on the QC. Now, while all of that is fantastic, there are some things that I do need to put across that I'd like to see either improved or fixed or added. Firstly, the transpose function, although it was fantastic when I first started using it, and I still use it a lot to this day, there are some noticeable artifacts and things, mainly when tuning up rather than down. Tuning down works really well, tuning up not so much. Better to use a capo. It does also take away something. I don't know whether it's low end or the low ends get a little bit too mushy. When you're using high gain stuff, it can come across a little bit just not quite there. You do have to do some tweaking with the transpose function, especially on high gain stuff, but for clean stuff, it's great. I've noticed recently that I'm getting some strange kind of bugs when I'm moving things across the signal chain and generally navigating throughout the menu. Sometimes things that I'm moving from one point in the signal chain to the other will just freeze in place for 10 seconds and I can't do anything about it. Sometimes I have to power the unit completely down before I'm able to do anything else, which isn't ideal, especially in a recording environment or in like a stage environment as well. I'm sure that this can be fixed with a software patch or an update. It's not major, but it's something that would annoy me if it was coming up all the time. And I think this is a good learning point for Neural. They've come from making software. They've got great software on the QC, but in a product, a physical product, you need to make sure that both of those things marry up. Now, I'm not a developer, I'm not a product engineer or anything like that, but I think some things need to be kind of stamped out early, and let's get those bugs fixed, please. Another thing, I think there could be more clean presets out of the box. I found myself going through and just finding gain, high gain, monstrous gain, but not much on the clean side. I think clean is neglected a lot with a lot of these kind of products, so your Kempers, your QCs, your Line 6, all that sort of stuff. There are clean players out there who will use these kind of devices. Me being one of them, I'm not all about just high gain. I like a wide spectrum, and versatility is great for me because I play so many different styles of music. So I think more attention to clean presets and things like that out of the box could be something that could be added quite easily. Moving on to something that's a little bit different now. The Cortex app for iOS and Android is fantastic. I really love how easy it is to share rigs and, download presets and stuff like that. But one thing that I feel is missing right now from the rigs more than the captures, because they already have this function, is a calculated gain indicator. So as you can see there on the screen, we've got a capture that has the indicated and calculated kind of gain that we expect this to be. However, when you go to a rig, that isn't there, and I think that would be really useful for them to have that on there so that we can kind of gauge, okay, this is going to be quite high, this is going to be quite low, I might want to put a pedal here, before you even have to download it and try it out. Again, this is something that's quite simple, but will be quite nice as a quality of life improvement. And then finally, I think the desktop app, mainly on macOS, needs some refinement. I had to download and install the Cortex desktop app 3 times before I could get it to even boot up properly. And because it's a new product and subsequently new software, there wasn't too much documented online about it. And I just had to kind of fiddle around with it, uninstall it, restart, re-download and reinstall. And eventually we got there. Even then I found it a little bit sluggish and a bit slow compared to the actual QC itself. And that's running on, an M1 MacBook, which there isn't an issue there. There's plenty of processing power to run the desktop app, but I think it could just do with a little bit of fine tweaking, a little bit of improvement in terms of speed and reliability, and on the install process as well. So the big question then, do I regret my purchase? No. It's a great bit of kit, and I find myself just loving it even more every time I boot it up and download new patches. I'm constantly scrolling through the Cortex app, finding new sounds to implement in different ideas that I'm coming up with or covers that I'm making on my own channel. And to have it all there at your fingertips and really easy to kind of implement into different projects that you're doing, you can't argue with it. I think that's my main kind of driving factor for this device itself, is the ease of use and how well everything kind of just translates over from one device to another. You can send presets across. All of this stuff was covered in my initial video that I made for this channel about the QC. You can check that out if you want to see more. So obviously quite a quick video from me today, but I wanted to provide this kind of 6 months on, do I regret my purchase kind of thing, just to kind of put it across and be transparent about the issues that are on the QC right now, because it wouldn't be a fair review without doing that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please make sure to leave a like, and we'll see you all in the next one.